There is a theory that Jon Snow is not Rhaegar and Lyanna's baby. In the show, we know that theory is wrong. It's wrong in the books too. We don't know it for sure, but here are 8 reasons why it would be really, really bad. 8 ways that it would take away from the characters and the story. The theory is that Jon Snow is the baby of Ned Stark and Ashara Dayne. Ashara Dayne was Sir Arthur Dayne's little sister, the legendary swordsman from the Tower of Joy, the last sword of the morning, the last dude to wield a sword called Dawn. But here we go. Here are the 8 reasons why it's really, really bad. Number 1. George R.R. Martin pointed out several times that when he first met with Dan and Dave, the producers of the show, he asked them, who is Jon Snow's mother? So obviously, Jon Snow's mother is pretty important. His mother was Lyanna, the biggest reveal in the show so far. And I get that the books in the show can be different, but I just don't think that they changed something so huge, the biggest reveal yet in the show. That right there should be enough. Do you really think they answered Ashara Dayne and George was like, cool, you're right, you can produce my show. And then they're like, alright, we're going to produce it, but we're going to switch it up. It's going to be Lyanna. No, they got it right, and George then sold them the rights to produce the show. So that should be proof. But here are 7 more reasons. Number 2, if Jon's parents are Lyanna and Rhaegar, then Jon's blood is a song of ice and fire. If his mom was Ashara, he loses that. Then he's just ice plus Dayne. And I know, a good argument could be made that the Daynes and the Valyrians have a common ancestor. But still, I think of the Starks as ice and the Valyrians as fire. The Daynes were around thousands of years before the Valyrian freehold. So if Ashara is Jon's mother, he is no longer a song of ice and fire. Number 3. Ned is known to be a man of honor, duty and honor. If he slept with Ashara at the tourney of Harrenhal, that's fine, because he was not betrothed to Catelyn at the time. His older brother Bran was. Or if he slept with Ashara down at the Tower of Joy, I wouldn't judge him, it was wartime. But Ned is special. He was not the type of dude to sleep with a girl unless he was married. So if we find out that Ned slept with Ashara, it fundamentally changes his character. Not in a good way, it's not happening. Number 4. In the show version, Ned is not Jon's father, but he pretends to be, and people judge him for this. So let's pretend Jon is Ned's son. If so, then Ned did not accept a blemish on his own honor for the sake of his little sister. This one's minor, but it still takes away from his character if that blemish was truly his own. Number 5. Number 5 builds off number 4. Why did Ned lie about Jon's parents in the show? Because newly kinged Robert Baratheon would have killed Jon if he found out that he was a Targaryen, because Jon would have had a claim to the throne. If Jon was not Rhaegar's child, then the only reason Ned would not admit that Ashara was Jon's mom was because he wanted to protect Ashara's honor, since him and her were not married. So compare that to protecting Jon's life. Lying to protect Jon from King Robert, his best friend, is way cooler from a storytelling perspective. Number 6. Catelyn. Lady Cat was often rude to Jon. No matter who Jon's parents are, that was wrong. A child's a child and should be loved. But there's a lot more irony in her hating Jon if he is not Ned's son. If Jon is Ned and Ashara's baby, Lady Catelyn's treatment of Jon is still wrong, but it just lacks that irony and makes the story a little bit worse. Number 7. Several people in the story believe that Jon was Ned and Ashara's child. Cersei, Edric Dayne, Mira Reed, and even Sir Barristan Selmy, Barristan the Bold. I doubt George R.R. Martin would lay so many hints as to who Jon's parents are. It's more likely that their opinions are all misdirects. And lastly, number 8. Bran had a vision in his final chapter of the book so far. It's a very important chapter, and these visions are also really important. In the first vision, Ned is sitting by the weirwood tree at Winterfell, the heart tree, and Ned says, "Let them grow up as brothers, with only love between them." He's clearly talking about Robb and Jon, and the reader naturally thinks, oh, they're only half-brothers, so Ned is hoping that they'll love each other like actual brothers. But nope, it's cooler than that. It was a subtle hint that Ned was not Jon's father, that they were not blood brothers. So all in all, N+A = J would be a terrible reveal. It's still technically possible in the books, but it takes away a lot from the characters and the story. Imagine that Jon's blood is not a song of ice and fire in the books. Imagine that R+L = D, Dany. Do you really think HBO would take away something so significant from a girl and give it to a guy? There's no way. And like we said, George specifically asked Dan and Dave who is Jon Snow's mother before letting them produce the show. So clearly, Jon's parentage was important to George, and the show has shown us that R+L = J. In other words, will we find out that Jon is Ned and Ashara's kid in the books? No way, Jose. That's all. I'll talk to you.